Hello everyone, it's Lindsay, and today I'm working in week 2 of the Illustrated Faith Revival Camp. This is a digital workshop you can find in the Print and Pray shop. I will link it down below. You can see here I went ahead and printed all of my goodies and cut them down to fit into this photo box, and I store them that way. But I also wanted to show you some of the new printables that came out this week, and they are meant to kind of coordinate with the Revival Camp, but can stand alone also. So here's a couple different sets. This one's from Shauna Klingerman. I love the design. Super cute. All of the feathers and things. This one here is from Elaine Davis. This is the one that I'll be using in today's video. However, this is on cardstock. I did end up printing it on clear label paper. I will link what I used down in the description bar down below. This one here from Brave Little Taylor, I love her watercolor style. I always print watercolor designs on clear label paper. I just think it melds better into the page that way. So I love all these cute little animals and the tribal print, and just adorable. Cannot wait to use all of these in the coming weeks. So again, we're working in week 2 of Revival Camp. This is written by Tanya Hamilton, or Messy Bible here on social media. I'm just going to be applying some stickers to the page, so nothing crazy today. She has 1 John 4:19 mentioned for this week. However, I have journaled that. I have an entry on both pages and a tip-in, so I had no more room. So I'm going to journal in John 3:16. I've journaled, this is my 3rd journaling Bible, and I have yet to journal this scripture, so it kind of worked out. I'm not going to do anything revolutionary, so I just want to talk to you about this week in Revival Camp and kind of my story. This week, Tanya shares her kind of come to Jesus moment, and her moment that she kind of hears God's calling and submits to that. And so my story is different, a little different than hers, but a little bit similar also. I have twin boys, identical twin boys. There will be 10 in just a couple weeks. But when I was pregnant with them, I was not a Christian. And we went to an appointment and discovered that they had a syndrome called twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome. I will link information down below if that's something you're curious about. But that was at 32 weeks pregnant, and they had to be delivered emergency C-section 2 months early. They weren't responding. They had to have both of them CPR for over 5 minutes. It was just really scary. After they were stabilized, one of the doctors came and talked to us and just let us know how bad things were, and that they had really less than 1% chance of survival. And it just rocked my world. I mean, everything, the whole story is so long and so many small details that just point to God, but it was just again and again that God had stepped in to save those 2 little boys. And I know that doesn't always happen for everybody. That isn't the outcome for everybody. That's just our story and what happened with us. It ended up having a good outcome. However, they did have to spend 2 months in the hospital, and during that first week was rough. My husband had to go back to work within like 3 days. We were 2 hours away from our home. All my family had to go home, so that first week I was all by myself, and they still weren't out of the woods. We discovered that Aiden had a brain bleed, and so we were facing the possibility of cerebral palsy, not talking, not walking. We just didn't really know what was going to happen. And so he was getting ready to go down to his MRI, and I walked out of the NICU into this hallway, and there was a little corner in the hallway, and there was all these windows overlooking this garden, and I can just remember all the sun shining in, and I just fell to my knees, sobbing, weeping in the middle of the hospital, calling out to God, and just, that was just my come to Jesus moment, just realizing, He performed a giant miracle right in front of us, and who was I to deny His existence and His power, and just was so thankful, but also scared and in awe, and just lots of unknowns. And so I just out loud just kept saying, whatever you would have me do, I will do it. Just keep laying your hand upon these 2 little boys. And so I would like to say that my life was a complete 180 after that. It was not. It took several years to finally align my path with the path that God would have for me. And there was lots of growing and difficulty during that time, and just kind of silence from Him, I think, while He kind of got my heart where it needed to be. During that time, my husband still wasn't a believer, and it was hard to sit and, you know, have seen what we had seen with our boys and not be a believer. I didn't understand how he could do that, but I now realize, God calls to us in all different ways. Everybody is different. It takes something different to get everybody to submit. For me, it was two teeny tiny little babies. For my husband, it was, the almost losing our marriage is what called him. But it was several years later that again God called me into ministry work, and it just is amazing to look back at that time and to see how much has happened in that time, and just to see His hand working in all the little things even before I even recognized it. It was just amazing. And so I have a very wild calling and so I thought these were very fitting little pieces to put on this page here. And so I didn't do anything crazy. I just fussy cut these images out of clear label paper and then just stuck them down to the page. The great thing about using the clear label paper is I can still see all of the text, no problem. And I'm just adding some just different elements, keeping it really simple. But this is just a story and part of my testimony. I share all the time with everybody just how amazing God is, and it just never ceases to amaze me, all that He did for us during that time and throughout the many years. But just knowing how our outcome very well could have been different, and I know for a lot of people it is. They don't have the outcome that we had, and I don't know why. I don't have answers for that, but I just know that He knew it was going to take that situation and that outcome to get me to submit, to get me to kneel down and hand my life over to Him. And I'm being used now. He is calling me out into some things that are uncomfortable for me sometimes. I never imagined speaking to, hundreds and hundreds of women, let alone thousands of people on the internet, about my story and my walk, and that just never ceases to amaze me. The way that He works in our lives. So definitely wild calling. And so on screen here, I'm just using my pen to add some little sketchy details around the lettering, just to kind of add some more contrast to help them stand out from the back of the page. Of course, I got to add some ink splatters. I think adding details like this just helps tie in those stickers so it doesn't look like you just stuck stickers on your page. It looks like there's a little bit more going on by adding some paint or some ink, things like that, just to help blend everything together and add some interest and some different textures and things like that. So a lot of fun to do this entry. It's fun to finally get to share a little bit of my story. There's so much more. We could be here for hours and hours and hours, but getting to read Tanya's story and her heart and just get to know her a little bit more just through these devotionals has been really amazing. And I'm sure all of us have, very unique, amazing stories to tell of, our wild calling. So that is it for the page today. Be sure to leave a comment down below if you have any questions about the process. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. And until next time, thank you so much. Bye-bye.